Hello, hello. And remember, this particular class session is just to answer any lingering questions about the triggers assignment. So I'm not going to lecture. I can provide a brief overview of the trigger assignment, but I'm only going to answer specific questions. So if you have specific questions, please ask away. And we can kind of use it as a check-in too to see how everyone's doing. Hello, Tim. So how's everyone? Is everyone settled into their home or wherever their specific domicile is at this point? All right. And yes, make sure you check into Academy if you did not on Tuesday, because that's how I'm going to determine your participation points, as I stated before. So what's up? All right, Rajata says, I missed Tuesday's class, but I tried to the code from the Word doc and it didn't work. All right. Okay, let's review it. I'm going to log in from my other screen, my other system, and I'll review the code quickly so you can get an idea of how to run it. So let me launch my, oops. Of course, now I'm having issues with SQL Server. Okay, give me a second to find the document, et cetera, et cetera. So hold on, stand by. All right, our trigger assignment. This doc here. All right. Oops. Okay, let me go to my server. Where is it? All right. Okay, let me share my screen. And we'll walk through how to configure the code. All right. All right, can you all see this SSMS or the SQL Server environment? Can you all see that okay? Yeah, all right. All right, so here's the trigger code copied from that document, the trigger document. So if you try to run, you need to modify this code before you run it. Let's see. All right. So we know that the table and the schema, or the schema and the table that we want to allow the trigger to fire is the person.person table, right? So the one thing you need to make sure you include all of this code. And as I stated in the lectures, you do have to modify the trigger name. So we're going to call it person, whoops. Basically, we're just going to replace those square brackets on that first line and remove the square brackets from the second half of the name. You can leave them in, but this makes it a little clearer. So that's where you start. So our trigger name is person.trigger update columns. And this on should refer to your table. So we know our table is person.person. All right, and I think I have, and another thing too, I do want you to navigate to the table in the Object Explorer and open the triggers folder. Yes, I haven't created that trigger on this database. So you edit the table name in your create trigger. So we're creating this trigger and we're naming it this, and we're ensuring that it will fire on the person.person table, right? And yes, we need to make sure we're in AdventureWorks here. But we also need the rest of the trigger just to explain briefly. Within this trigger, it's going to go out to this systems table and figure out which column has been updated. And that's what this information schema columns. It's just another table, so we need to tell it exactly which schema and table we're looking for. So in your where table schema is person and table name is person, and these are just columns in that table. So you need to edit those two blank fields as well. And then after the trigger fires, we're going to create a result. And that's what this select is. It's just selecting result from this special system table. It's going to produce a result that will have the system date. So basically the date that and then the column or columns that were updated. So we need to add the schema and table name here as well. So that's what you should have edited in your assignment. And then you have, particular criteria that you have to run to check this. And I'm not going to list those. I'll have you read through those, and those are basically update statements. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you edit the trigger this way, and then execute it. And this should complete successfully, right? Without errors. And then you can search for this in the Object Explorer table. Just expand your tables. Mine takes a little bit because it is a VM that I'm running on my Mac. So I will show you where that trigger actually shows in our table. And once that opens up. But in the meantime, after you create the trigger, and yes, you need to take screenshots of all of this trigger code, and that it ran successfully. So I need to see screenshots of the entire trigger in your assignment, and that you created it successfully. And then when you do that, I would also go to the table, the person, that person table, look in the triggers folder, and there's your trigger right there. So that's the first part of the assignment. I need to see all of that. And then the second part is that you're actually running updates to that table. So I don't know which, I'm just going to do one as an example. This one is not what you required, but I'm going to update the person table, right? I'm going to set, let's see, I'm just going to choose someone arbitrarily. Set middle name equal to, let's say Jose. Where business entity ID is equal to 21. So this is just arbitrarily. This is not your assignment. But I'm going to show you what happens when you update that table. So when you execute this, it should complete successfully, and then you should receive a result here, which shows that the trigger fired. And the trigger fired and shows you that the middle name of that table was updated on this date. And so you would take a screenshot of the update query and then the fact that the trigger fired. Any questions about that? That is pretty much the gist of the assignment. You have basically four update components that you have to run, that you have to get screenshots of the trigger firing. And this is just showing you that the trigger fired. Questions? So does that make sense? Let's see, anyone commenting in the chat? Okay, no questions, that makes sense now. So really the big part is making the trigger work, yes. The first part is the more important part. Make sure the trigger is compiled successfully, and then you run your updates. And then showing that it fires each time you run the update. That is correct, Tim. So I want to see that the trigger is compiled correctly. I want you to show me that it exists in the Object Explorer, and then run your updates. There's 4 different updates in the assignment. And that's all you need to do. You don't need to write about it. All I'm looking for is your name and the appropriate screenshots from the trigger and then from the updates. Okay? And that's due by Sunday, remember. It's due before Sunday at midnight. Got it, Raja? Okay, good. Drew asked, can we do all updates in one? Well, I want you to do at least, I want you to do 4 updates. There's a reason for that. I mean, you can do them all in one. Well, actually, you can't, because you're changing 4 different records. So it's not really good practice to try and change 4 records in one query, or at least at this level. So just do do the 4 different queries. Okay. Thank you, Drew. Any other questions? Are we good with the assignment? It pretty much just gave you the first part, editing the trigger, and you just have to run the updates. And hopefully you remember how to run updates. How to delete the trigger and create a new one. But the easiest way is just to right click on the trigger in that triggers folder and delete it. You can do a drop trigger, but just use the Object Explorer. And what I mean, and I'll show you this right now. Okay, let's say you think you messed up. All you need to do is go to your Object Explorer here, right click on the trigger, right click, and then delete. And okay. And it goes away. So now it's gone. Got it? That's all you need to do. Oops. Okay. Makes sense? Oops. Where's the chat? Okay. Oh, there was an upgrade on Zoom. It's a little different now. Okay. Any other questions? Next week we go into a little bit different of an assignment. We're going to talk about optimization. It's going to be a boring writing assignment, but I may have you do something very different to satisfy the assignment requirements. So prepare yourself for that. Oops, phone call. Yeah, just 2 more assignments after this. There's the optimization, and then it's the backup and restore. The backup and restore, well, I think it's the backup and restore first, and then the optimization. The backup and restore is going to be so easy. You'll just basically walk through running a backup and then restoring. And you've all actually ran a restore when you added your AdventureWorks, so that should be pretty easy. And basically, all I'm going to do on Tuesday is essentially show you how to do, at least how to navigate to the backup. Did anyone get the bonus last weekend? Yes, we had four of your classmates actually were able to complete the bonus. 10. And so they're done with the coursework, but I'm asking them to check into Academy for the last 3 weeks to get their participation points. Any other questions? I don't think anyone is doing terribly well or terribly bad in the course. I do have a couple of students that I have not been able to reach, which is not a good thing. So I'm just waiting to see if they do not submit their assignments this week, then, and this is just to let you know that I think I've heard from just about everyone in the class, but I do have a couple students that I'm concerned about. So if you haven't checked in to Academy, or if you haven't contacted me, then basically please submit the assignment on time, and then you'll be in good shape. And as I'll restate again, all I need you to do is check in at least once during the week. I'm generally going to lecture on Tuesday, and then Thursday is kind of a follow-up day, just to catch any lingering issues. And pretty much this is the way it will be the last 3 weeks or last 2 weeks of class. All right. Any questions?
Nope, Devin's good. Thank you.
Okay, Devin, thank you. Anyone else? Everyone's good to go? All right, so make sure you get the assignments in on time, and I will see you all on Tuesday. Remember, Tuesday is essentially the required lecture. And if you're going to miss Tuesday, at least check into Academy, and then you show up on Thursday so that I know that you're all right. All right. I'm going to add a recording of this quick lecture into LoudCloud, but you all take care. Be safe. Thank you. See you all.